Good day, everyone. This is the Cadet Dokuyan Geography, and this is the Group 4, and this is the video presentation for our Shusho 101, and this is for academic purposes only. Here's our topic: Human Trafficking and Human Rights and Migration. Agenda: Members' Introduction to Human Trafficking. What are the examples of human trafficking? The three elements of human trafficking. What is current state of human trafficking in the Philippines? So, this is the member of this report. Member 1 is Decadet Kudotko Lawrence Binji. Member 2 is Decadet Dakuyan Geoffrey. Member 3 is Digilmo GM Heldi. Member 4 is Decadet Ferrer John Carl. And the last member is Decadet Neo Phil Ruigi. So, what is human trafficking? Human trafficking is a serious crime and a grave violation of human rights. It is involved exploitation of individual through force, fraud, or coercion for various purposes such as forced labor, sexual exploitation, or involuntary servitude. Human trafficking can occur both domestically within a country and across international borders. So, what are the driving factors in human trafficking? The driving factor of human trafficking is that by various factors including poverty, lack of education, political instability, gender inequality, and demand for cheap labor or sexual services. It is a highly profitable illicit industry, generating billions of dollars illegal profits each year. However, the victims of human trafficking are often lured or coerced into situations where they are then exploited. They may be deceived by false promises of a better life, job opportunities, or educations. Once you trap there, traffickers use physical and psychological manipulation to maintain control over their victims. This can include physical violence, threats, withholding of documents, debt bondage, and other forms of coercion. So, to effort to combat human rights trafficking involve prevention, persuasion of traffickers, protection and support victims, and international cooperation. Many countries have enacted legislation and established specialized law enforcement units to address this issue. Non-government organization or international organization and activities also play crucial role in raising awareness, providing assistance to victims, and advocating for a stronger anti-trafficking measure. So, lastly, it is important to note that human trafficking is because it's distinct from human smuggling. While both involve the movement of people, human trafficking involves exploitation, whereas human smuggling refers to facilitation of illegal border crossing for fee. So that's all from my topic. Thank you for listening. The Cadet Dakuyan signing off.
So, good day everyone. I'm Det Cadet Neo, and I'm here to discuss to you about what are the examples of human trafficking. So let's start. So, what are the examples of human trafficking? So these are the following. So first is forced labor. So Victims are coerced or forced to work under exploitative conditions in industries such as agriculture, construction, manufacturing, domestic work, and mining. So they may work long hours and receive little or no pay at all. So they endure physical or psychological abuse and have their movement restricted. So the second one is sex trafficking. So this involves the recruitment, transportation, or harboring of individuals for the purpose of sexual exploitation. So victims, often women and children, are forced into prostitution, pornography, or other forms of commercial sexual exploitation. So they are controlled through threats, violence, and manipulations or drugs. The third one is child trafficking. So children are particularly vulnerable to child trafficking and they may be forced into labor, sexual exploitation, child soldiering, child marriage, or forced begging. So the children trafficking can also involve the abduction and sale of children for adoption. The fourth one is organ trafficking. So this form of trafficking involves the illegal trade of organs. So where individuals are forcibly or like fraudulently made to give up their organs for transplantation. Organ trafficking can result in physical harm, severe health consequences, and even death for the victims. The fifth one is debt bondage or debt bondage. So, and it like that. So, victims become trapped in a cycle of debt, often through deceptive recruitment practices. So, they are forced to work to repay the debt, but the terms are either manipulated and making it impossible to repay. So the debt is used as a mean of control and victims are exploited through forced labor or other forms of exploitation. The sixth one is forced marriage. So victims, often women or girls, are forced into marriages against their will. So they may experience physical, sexual, and emotional abuse within the marriage and are often subjected to servitude-like conditions. The seventh one or the last one is child soldiers. So children are coerced, abducted, or recruited to participate in armed conflict as soldiers. So they are subjected to physical and psychological abuse and forced to commit violent acts and deprived of their basic rights. So that's all for the examples of human trafficking. I'm Ditkarit Neo, and that's all for my topic. Signing out.
So, good everyone, I am the cadet Giancarlo Ferrer, and this is my report about human rights. So, human rights immigration refers to the set of fundamental rights and protections that apply to individuals who migrate from one country to another. These rights are based on the principles of human dignity, equity, non-discrimination, and the recognition of the inherent worth and rights of all individuals regardless of their migration status. So here are some case aspects of human migration. First is the non-discrimination. So all individuals regardless of their nationality, race, ethnicity, or migration status are entitled to equal treatment and protection of their human rights. So the concept of non-discrimination is fundamental to human rights and is enriched in various international legal framework and documents such as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights. And these instruments emphasize the importance of equal rights and protection for all individuals without any form of discrimination. So non-discrimination extends to various aspects of life, including employment, education, housing, healthcare, access to public services, and participation in social, cultural, and political activities. It implies that individuals should not be treated differently or face disadvantage or barriers solely based on their inherent characteristic or personal circumstances. So next is right to life, security. Migrants have the right to life, liberty, and security of person. So they should be protected from arbitrary arrest, detention, or physical harm. When it comes to migration, the right to life and security applies to both regular and irregular migrants. Regular migrants are individuals who have entered a country through legal means, such as through visa or work permit, while irregular migrants are those who have entered a country without proper authorization or have overstayed their visas. Regardless of their migration status, all individuals have right to be treated with dignity and respect, and the right to life and security should be protected. So next is freedom of movement. So migrants have the right to freedom of movement within the borders of a country and the right to leave any country, including their country of origin. However, these rights may be subject to limitation on grounds of national security, public order, or public health. So freedom of movement for migrants refers to the right of individuals to move and reside within a country or across national borders for various reasons, including seeking better economic opportunities, reuniting with families, or escaping persecution or conflict in their home countries. While freedom of movement is recognized human right, the extent to which it is granted protected can vary significantly between countries and regions. So protection from torture and cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. Migrants should be protected from torture, cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment punishment. So the following are the case aspects related to the protection of migrants from torture and cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. So first is non-refoulement. The principle of non-refoulement is fundamental principle of international refuge law. So it prohibits the expulsion, return, or extradition of individuals to country where they may face torture, cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. So this principle applies to all migrants regardless of their legal status. Next is international human rights treaties. So various international human rights treaties explicitly prohibit torture and their forms of maltreatment. For instance, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR, the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, and the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, contains provision that safeguard individuals from such treatment. So next is detention condition. So migrants may be subject to detention during the migration process. So international human rights standards require that detention facilities meet certain minimum and standard of treatment. So including access to healthcare, food, water, sanitation, and legal assistance. Migrants should be treated with dignity, respect while in detention. So next is procedural safeguards. So migrants should be provided with fair and effective procedures to challenge their detention or any decision related to their migrant status. So they should have access to legal representation, interpretation, service, and opportunity to represent their case before an imperial authority. So next is the access to justice. So in this case, migrants should have access to fair and effective judicial process, including the right to legal representation to challenge my violation of the rights. So access to justice immigration refers to ensuring that migrants have fair and equitable access to legal remedies, support services, and protection when they encounter legal challenges or violations of their human rights during the migration process. It encompasses various aspects including assistance, information provision, and interpretation services and representation. So here are some points regarding access to migration. So first is legal framework. In legal framework, government should establish comprehensive legal frameworks that safeguard the rights of migrants, including provision for access to justice. So this framework may include international human rights, instruments, and domestic laws, policies specifically addressing the needs of migrants. So next is the non-discrimination. This is access to justice should be provided to all migrants regardless of their immigration status, nationality, race, gender, or any other characteristics. No one should be denied access to justice based on their migration status alone. So next is the legal information and assistance. So in this, migrants should have access to accurate, timely legal information about their human rights, obligation, and available legal remedies and legal assistance, including advice, counseling, and representation should be provided in migrants who required it. So next is the detention and removal proceeding. Migrants who are detained on face deportation proceeding should have access to legal representation, appellate procedure safeguards. So next is the family unity. Migrants have the right to maintain family unity. So this includes the right to be united with the family members and the protection of the rights of children in migration. So
Right to seek asylum. Individuals who are fleeing persecution or serious human rights violation have the right to seek asylum in another country. They should be provided with a fair and efficient asylum process and protection from refoulement. So the forcible return to a country where their life and freedom would be at risk. Access to basic services. Migrants, regardless of their migration status, should have access to basic services such as healthcare, education, and social services. Labor rights. Migrant workers have the right to fair and safe working conditions, freedom of associations, and the right to join trade unions. Protection from human trafficking. Migrants should be protected from all forms of human trafficking, exploitations, and forced labor. So, dili sila pwede nga pugson o patrabaho sa pikas lungsod or pikas country. It is important to note that while these rights exist, the practical realization of human rights in migration can vary between countries and regions. Some countries have comprehensive legal frameworks and policies in place to protect the rights of migrants, while others may have gaps or inconsistencies in their approach. Efforts are being made at the international level through organizations like that, United Nations and regional human rights bodies, to promote and protect the rights of migrants and ensure their dignity and well-being throughout migration process.
Good day everyone. Today I'm going to discuss the current state of human trafficking in the Philippines. The Philippines is considered both a source country and the destination country for human trafficking. It has been identified as a significant source of labor trafficking and sex trafficking victims both domestically and internationally. Factors contributing to the prevalence of human trafficking in the Philippines include poverty, lack of employment, opportunities, armed conflict in certain regions, natural disasters, and the hardship of labor and commercial sex. In terms of sex trafficking, women and children are particularly vulnerable. Victims are often trafficked within the country as well as to the other countries such as Japan, Malaysia, South Korea, and the Middle East. The Philippines is also a destination for foreign nationals who are trafficked for sexual exploitation. Labor trafficking is another major concern. Filipinos seeking employment abroad, particularly in the Middle East, East Asia, and North America, can fall victim to deceptive recruitment practices and exploitation. They may end up in a situations of forced labor, debt bondage, and hazardous working conditions. The Philippine government has taken steps to combat human trafficking, including enacting legislation establishing specialized anti-trafficking units, and implementing programs to prevent trafficking, protect victims, and prosecute perpetrators. Non-governmental organizations and international agencies also play a vital role in providing support services to victims and raise awareness. It's important to note that the specific situation of human trafficking in the Philippines may have evolved or changed since my last knowledge update. For the most accurate and up-to-date informations, it is recommended to refer to the recent reports from reputable sources such as government reports, international organizations, or NGOs working in the field of human trafficking. So that's all, everyone, and thank you for watching.